Hello, everybody. It's me, Roscoe, and welcome to the latest Track the Girls Talk podcast, a show where we cover all things Ipswich Town Women. I'm joined, as standard, by my co-host, Tom Cann, my friend. Thanks very much for joining me again. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to another episode. And we're recording this the night after the Lionesses winning the Euros, back-to-back champions for the Lionesses. Congratulations to them, and what a unbelievable final it was. Penalty shootout win, an England team winning. Penalty shootout, which is always good to see. Obviously, they had 3 extra time games, didn't they, the England Lionesses, Tom? I hope you're doing well. And great to sort of record a podcast after England bringing it home.
Yeah, brilliant tournament for them. Last 2 fixtures rounds were a little bit hairy. For them to get through Sweden was a real slog. What was it? 2-0 down until the 78th minute or something like that. Managed to bring it back and get through on penalties. And then Italy, 1-0 down in the 95th minute, somehow went on to win 2-1 without needing penalties. And last night I thought England played really well. Spain played really well. And even with having to retake a penalty, they managed to keep their cool and, as you say, bring it home for the second time running, which is really impressive. It's also the first trophy that England have won overseas, not on home soil. So really good and really good for the future of women's football as well. I'm sure, as it was 2021, 2022 when they last won, and same with 2023 when they reached the World Cup final, inspired millions, to play football. And congratulations to the Lionesses for doing what everyone wanted the men's team to do since the Euros started, because men's team haven't won the Euros yet. So many congratulations to the Lionesses.
Definitely. And of course, a lot of people listening to this podcast, I'm sure, watching it, wherever they were. And as you mentioned, inspiring the next generation of women's footballers. And incredible scenes. And annoyingly, though, we haven't got a bank holiday. Still haven't got that bank holiday. But it is what it is. But great way to sort of record a podcast. This was always planned to be on the Monday anyway, discuss the fixtures, new signings and stuff. But obviously, it's sort of lined up well with them winning the Euros last night. We're going to discuss all things Ipswich Town Women, though. We're going to get right into some new signings, Tom, because last time we recorded, we were just discussing, the players who sort of signed new deals and players leaving and other bits and bobs. Obviously, the stadium move. But since we last recorded, Joe Sheehan's side have signed 2 new players, one making a return and another player signing who's got some experience in the top tiers of women's football. Let's start, though, with Paige Peake, who is a familiar name, a familiar face, because she came through the youth system at Ipswich Town. Obviously played with the club, was part of the team that got promoted to the 3rd tier about a few years ago under Joe Sheehan. And left the club to go to Southampton to play in the Championship. She was there for a good couple of years and sort of proved she can play in the 2nd tier. Now she returns, Tom. We're saying off record, you didn't get an opportunity to watch her play, but this is a good signing, a centre-back. And now she's got experience playing in the Championship, WSL 2 now. Very good signing for Town.
Yeah, very good. Still young as well. She's only 22. Comes with a lot of experience now, having played for Southampton and been part of a squad that has solidified them as a WSL 2 team. And as you say, obviously, 2nd stint now with Ipswich. Really impressed by all accounts during her first spell, making half a century of appearances, scoring 19 goals, which is quite something from a defender. Earned a move to the Championship with Southampton, went on to make appearances for England under 23s there, I believe, or England under 21s. Impressed and I believe that she's been at Ipswich, Felixstowe, quite a few times actually since leaving. Whenever she's been back, she's gone to support the team and watch on from the sidelines. So I'm sure she's one that Joe has kept tabs on over recent windows and wanted to maybe bring to the club, and now seems a perfect time. Now, WSL 2 brings that experience, brings that loyalty with Ipswich back. And yeah, I think she's a really good signing. Obviously, as you say, I didn't really watch her first time round. You obviously did. You must have been really impressed with her whenever you watched her play.
Yeah, of course, she was part of that crop of players who got given a chance to go in the first team on the Joe, because she was part of the Town under 21 set-up with the likes of Sophie Pescott and Maria Boswell and stuff like that. Maddie Biggs and players like that who obviously have left the club in recent years. But Paige sort of stood out straight away for me. She was tall, for that, even at age as a centre-back. She had very good delivery with corners and free kicks. She scored some very notable free kicks. Scored a very good free kick against Norwich in her debut season, and also scored a lot of indirect free kicks, corners, where she would just bring cross the ball in and it would just go in the back of the net. She scored a few of those. But yeah, as you mentioned, 19 goals for a centre-back is pretty impressive. But yeah, a lot of those were free kicks, corners, or penalties. She's also very good at the penalty spots. So very good bit of business from Joe and co. And yeah, it's just great to sort of see a player come home. And she obviously will know some of the players in the team. She'll obviously know Lauren Phillips, the assistant coach at the Town as well. Worked with her at Southampton because she was there. But yeah, very classy player, very good on the ball, modern day centre back. And yeah, she's going to be, I'm sure, on the set pieces straight away, I assume. So very good signing. I'm sure a lot of Town fans are happy as well. There's a lot of Town fans who obviously watched her when in her first spell. There'll be new fans out there looking to see Paige for the first time as well. So she'll obviously wear the number 24 shirt, I'm sure. That's what she sort of wore when she broke through, and she kept it at Southampton, and I'm sure she'll wear it again. So the first signing of the summer, pretty good business, signing a player with championship experience, Tom. And then the next player was Paige Peake's teammate at Southampton, who's got experience not in just the championship, but also in the Super League. And that is Rihanna Dean. Same name as my favourite singer, Rihanna. I actually had to ask you off record, Tom, quickly, like, how do you say her name? It's not even that difficult to say, but sometimes you can sort of pronounce it different ways. But yeah, Rihanna Dean, striker. Came through the youth system at Arsenal, played for the likes of Tottenham and Liverpool during her career as well. Scored 9 goals last year in 18 games, which is pretty cool. Scratch that. The last 2 seasons, she scored 9 goals in 18 games in the Championship in league games. But yeah, this is a pretty impressive signing, Tom, for Joe's team, bringing in someone who's got that experience. We needed a new striker as well. We've got Natasha Thomas, but she was the only striker we had. So sort of adding that competition up front.
Yeah, very much so. I think since I've started covering the team, you've had Holly Turner, who was there for half a season. Lucy Watson was there half a season. You haven't really had a permanent player to challenge Natasha Thomas up top for that starting striker role. Now there is one. Rihanna Dean comes with, as you say, an awful lot of experience at top level and second tier level. Another one from Southampton can really challenge Tash for that number 9 role. I know that Rihanna Dean has already been given the number 9, but figurative number 9 role, which will only be good for both players to have that competition. And 9 goals in 18 games over 2 seasons is not a bad return at all. It's 2 goals, 1 goal every 2 games. So I think it's a very good signing. Someone with a lot of experience, someone who can offer that competition up top. It's great for one of them to come off the bench as well. You know that you've got a solid backup, whoever that might be, whether Joe's going to mix and match those 2 starting games, or whether he's going to pick one and stick with them, and the other one will come on and be impact. But it's a really good signing and someone that will, I'm sure, be raring to get going and make that striker spot hers, and start as many games as possible and score as many goals as possible as well.
Yeah, good for Tash to have that competition. And yeah, Tash loves the number 7 shirt, so she's always giving the number 7. But yeah, as you mentioned, Rihanna Dean has got the number 9 shirt. And it's, yeah, good to see. I'm sort of going to throw you a question, so I'm going to put you on a spot here. But what do you reckon's next for Town in terms of positions? We've signed a centre back now. We've signed a striker. We've seen obviously a few players leave. We'll get onto that shortly where they've gone. Where else do you think they need to strengthen in? How many signings do you reckon they'll make?
I reckon they'll make 3 or 4 more. They certainly need a bit more experience at the level. I imagine they'll be going, as with the men's team, for centre midfield. I think that's where they'll put an awful lot of attention. Obviously, Ruby Doe has gone back I think she's without a club at the moment. So, I mean, they might be looking at bringing her back for, a permanent spell with the club after having 2 loan spells. But obviously, with her leaving, you've got Kyra Robertson. You need a partner for her in centre midfield. So I'm sure that that's somewhere where they're looking. Probably looking for another winger as well. Obviously, we'll come on to the players that have signed contracts and will be with the squad next season. We'll come on to that in a bit, but I'm sure they'll be looking there. Maybe another fullback to replace that Maisie Barker role of someone that could play both sides, right and left back. Someone to come in there. I think goalkeepers, I think they're fine. I think, I can't see Natalia Negri losing her spot, and Laura Hartley is more than capable of being a good backup, and obviously Nina Miolo as well. Whether she's sent out on loan, but that is 3 quite competent goalkeepers at the club. So I think goalkeeping is fine. I think the other positions they'll be looking to strengthen, but I'd imagine centre mid is probably where their focus is more aimed towards at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, obviously Charlotte Fleming is just coming back from an ACL injury, just in case there's people shouting, when there's also Charlotte who can play midfield, but she's recently just come back from an ACL injury, and she is sort of back now, so it's training and doing some running and on the ball, so that's great, but you've got to give her some time as well, because that's her second ACL injury she's had. So, but yeah, you need just competition all over the pitch. So I sort of echo what you said, Tom, there. And yeah, we shall see what Joe does. But yeah, let's talk quickly about those players, Tom, who has left. We're also going to discuss, well, actually, no, we'll discuss basically the 14 players who have signed new deals. All of them obviously most of them got offered new contracts, and they've all signed them. So we've got pretty much now, how many is that? So 16? Is it 16 players we'll have now registered?
Yes, 16, I think. Registered
2 new signings, and then the 14 who are part of the sort of promotion winning team last year. But yeah, as you mentioned, Maisie, she's signed for Oxford, as we spoke on the last pod. Grace Garrett's gone to Watford, so she'll be playing in the third tier again next year against Maisie. Evie, as we were recording and we stopped recording, we mentioned, it'd be interesting where she'll go. She's also now signed for Norwich, where that's where she started her career, and she links up with Eloise King at Norwich City. So obviously they're in the 4th tier. Angela Anderson has signed on the same day as we basically published the podcast. She signed for Durham, who play in the same league as Town, so she'll be coming up against a former team. And also Izzy Bryant, who was on loan at Oxford last year, for the second half of last year, has signed for Real Bedford, who play in the 4th tier, who will come up against Norwich. So she'll play against Evie and Eloise King. And Ella Rutherford at the moment is without a club, so she's the last one to sort of find a club. But it sort of proves, Tom, these players they didn't muck about. They signed for clubs very quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, it just shows how much clubs sort of wanted them to act this quickly to try and get them over the line. As you say, Angela Addison is the only one to sort of move up a level and sign for a club now at Ipswich's level. But it just shows Norwich's effort to get into the Southern Premier Division. Signing one promotion winner in EV from that division, and also Real Bedford's attempt as well at, signing Izzy Bryant. So it's really good that they've found clubs so quickly, and they can get to work and start training with their new teammates and help them in whichever way the club wants to go.
Very much so. And we're now going to segue, Tom, on. We're going to now tick another box. So we've sort of ticked with, players retained, new signings. Now it's all about the fixtures, which got released on Friday last week. I was in Scotland when they got released. I was just in my hotel room and I went, "Oh, fixtures came out," and I was able to sort of plan our season ahead. You never know, things can change. So all subject to change, the fixtures. I'm going to bring it up, and we sort of bring back an old rivalry to start the season, Tom, with Southampton, and obviously we're signed 2 players from Southampton. That's obviously the first game of the season away. We obviously battled them in the 3rd tier many times, and your just thoughts on that, Tom? We're playing a team we sort of know of a little bit. They'll obviously have different players, and I think they've got different coaching staff now. But Paige Peake and Rihanna, I'm sure they'll have a little bit of insight, But Southampton first up, my friend.
Yeah, I think it's a good matchup to get first. I think Joe will be happy with getting them. Maybe it would have been better to get them at home, but I'm sure that they'll be ready for them away. Finished 8th last season in the championship, which is further towards the bottom of the table. So certainly a team that can really test how Ipswich are doing. See what level they're at, and a chance for Ipswich to get some points on the board early doors as well. Look at the first 4 or 5 fixtures, and it's quite a favourable start. Actually, it's not. It could have been an awful lot worse and an awful lot tougher for them. But Southampton first game, obviously, as you say, it's got that little bit more bite now with Paige and Rihanna and Lauren Phillips as well. Also coming from Southampton. They've taken players from us. We've taken players from them. So it'll be a good matchup. It's one that I think will be an interesting game to get the season started with, and they're an established team in that league. It'll be good to see how Ipswich match up against them.
And especially the game will be on the Saturday, 6th of September, and that's actually during the first international break for the men's team. So good opportunity for Town fans if they want to get their football fix and travel to Southampton. We can get a good away end sort of bouncing there. Then we'll be facing another newly promoted team in Nottingham Forest, the first home game at the Colchester Stadium, of course, the JobServe Community Stadium, for the first ever home game in the 2nd tier. Obviously, they're going to be on a high as well after just getting promoted. But I don't know if I like that or not, Tom, playing a newly promoted team just like us early doors. I don't know if I'd rather wait to sort of play them later on to see how they were doing. You just don't know. Obviously, we played Nottingham Forest in pre-season before, but there will be a team that will be interesting, really. Thoughts on that as the second game of the season?
I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. I think it's a good chance for both sides to see where they're at. Both sides will have made signings and improvements to the squad. Obviously, they'll have played in the Northern Premier Division. We're in the Southern. It's a good chance to see how the teams differ, and how each team is prepped for the season ahead. Obviously, that's the benefit of doing it the second game is which one is best poised in the league, which one is most ready. I don't mind it at all, and I think it's 2 games that Ipswich could really get some points early doors, which I think they're gonna need in the first month. Is points to kickstart their season. I don't think I could think of a better team to really do that against other than Nottingham Forest at home.
Yeah, very much so. And we're not going to go through every game because that would just be stupid. But yeah, obviously their fixtures are out there, ladies and gentlemen, to see. But we're going to go through the sort of the key dates. We're going to do the first four, because that's always interesting. Obviously, the first 4 games in September. After the Nottingham Forest game is a trip to Charlton, who have played a few times in pre-season in the FA Cup. Then also we've got another clash with an old, I won't say enemy, but an old team that we had sort of battles with, and Portsmouth at home. So if you really look on that, on paper, I know football's played on grass and all that. But yes, as you mentioned a little bit earlier, a bit favourite, sort of some good sort of ties to start the season with. Yeah, Portsmouth obviously stayed up last year. Charlton were sort of in, mid-table-ish. But yeah, Charlton, Portsmouth, thoughts on those games?
Yeah, good. I think Charlton are going to be tough. I think their home stadium is the Valley. So they play all their home games there. So that will be a tough one for Joe and the team. I think they actually finished 3rd last season. So yeah, pretty good.
That's for me. Sorry.
I think they were quite far away from Birmingham and London City Lionesses, to be fair. But yeah, 3rd, and they'll be a tough opponent. But then Portsmouth finished below Southampton. I think they were 9th or 10th. So another chance to get points, and it's at home as well, which is much better than having to go away down south to them. So I think it's a real opportunity. And then I am just going to mention the 5th fixture as well, which is against Sheffield United, which is a really big opportunity to get some points at home. They were relegated last season, but were saved because Blackburn Rovers' owners didn't do their jobs. So they only got 7 points last season. That's a really big opportunity because they really need to get some points, because the 4 fixtures after that are really tough. So it's a favourable start to the season for Ipswich, and I think Charlton is the only sort of one in there that you look at and you think they're all going to be tough, but that one is the only one that you can look at and think that's going to be the first massive test for Joe and his side.
Yeah, especially with it's only going to be 22 games in the league, and you just got to get those points early doors, so you sort of know where you are. Because it can be so tight down there. But I'm sure Joe's team, they want to compete, they want to be, fighting team. Maybe back-to-back promotions. Do a Kieran McKenna's team. That'd be very good. No pressure. But yeah, we're not going to go for every game. But I want to sort of highlight 2 games in December, Tom, because there's a lot of travelling in December. Durham away, the 7th of December, and then Sunderland away before Christmas. So 2 long trips up to the northeast.
Yeah, they're not fun at all. Thankfully, there's a couple of weeks in between them. However, I was just looking, and the FA Cup 3rd round, which Ipswich come into, is played that weekend in between those 2. So pray that the gods of whoever does the draw gives Ipswich a home tie and doesn't make them travel to Exeter, Plymouth, Cardiff, anywhere like that, because that would just be an awful month. But yeah, Durham tough, Sunderland tough, both away. Helped a little bit by the fact that in January they got 2 home games, but it's not a good month, December, and they really need a home tie in that FA Cup, or at least an away tie that's really close, because they can't. That's just, it's going to be really tough if they get a really far away game for that middle weekend as well.
That's the only problem with the WSL too. Obviously, there's a lot of teams that are far away. Not many local ones. Obviously, there is Charlton and Crystal Palace who are in London, but yeah, you got the likes of Newcastle. They got to go to Bristol City, Birmingham, Sheffield United, Portsmouth, Southampton. So yeah, it's some long trips, but they just have to just get used to it, unfortunately. But yeah, mention about COP competitions, Tom. Obviously, the Blues will also be involved in the Subway Women's League Cup group stage, which will play across the first half of the season. The opponents and dates will be confirmed shortly, so we won't know yet about that. But we could potentially play think how it works is you do play obviously teams in WSL or Super League in general, so that we could come up against some big teams.
Yeah, I think it's 5 games that they have to play in the first half of the season, which is actually quite a lot to try and cram into all that, which I think is a big difference to what they have been doing in the Southern Premier Division. You know, we'd wait sometimes over a month for a game because of postponements and cancellations and all that. So it's a lot to fit in. Could come up against some really good sides, London-based WSL teams. I mean, we have to wait and see as to who the opponents are and when they'll be played. Hopefully, no midweek games. I'm sure there might be 1 or 2, but we'll wait and see who they get in that competition. I'm sure that Joe will want to give his all in every competition that they play in. So I'm sure they're eagerly awaiting their opponents for the Subway Women's League Cup.
Yes, indeed. Favorite Subway, Tom? If you do go to Subway? What would you go for?
I don't know. I haven't actually had a Subway for a while.
Yeah, me too.
Because I think it's overpriced.
Yeah.
But I think if I do, I don't mind their salad boxes because you can actually just choose what you want in it. I'm weird and I don't like tomatoes or people who start throwing feta on a salad and all that rubbish. So I don't mind it when I get to actually pick what goes on it.
Yeah.
So I don't mind a salad, but again, that's like £7, which is ridiculous. I'd rather just pick tomatoes out for the £2 salad from Tesco. So I don't go there. What about you?
But yeah, Subway, if you are listening, we wouldn't mind if you want to sponsor the podcast. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm a hearty Italian bread man. You know, the bread you can pick, have that, and then I change it up. You know, I sometimes go chicken, sometimes I go ham, a bit of cheese. Obviously, I don't mind tomatoes, so I love tomatoes, I have lettuce and stuff. But yeah, I haven't had one for a while, so maybe just for this inspiring myself on this, maybe I'll have one today. Just go out and get a Subway, and then next time we do a pod, going, by the way, this is my Subway order. But I just thought I'll chuck it out there. But anybody who's listening, your Subway order, let us know. I do like their cookies, though. I do like their cookies. Pretty solid cookies. I don't know how to segue this. We're just going to segue, Tom, into the running because that's always the important part of the fixtures as well. You know, the sort of the first few games, the key sort of dates. But the running, we don't know where we'll be. Will we be fighting for promotion? Will we just be dead rubbers? Or are we going to be fighting relegation? You just never know. We've got Southampton at home on the 29th of March. Then on the 5th of April, we've got Crystal Palace away. Then Birmingham City away on the 26th of April. And then Sunderland is to be confirmed at the moment, but that's going to be in May. Once again, we may have some cup games potentially there because there's a lot of like gaps there, but you just never know with, hopefully not postponements and other bits and bobs. But yeah, that'll be the 4 final games as it stands. How are you feeling about
that? Tough. I think Ipswich need to be in a position where they're not in any danger. Otherwise, it is going to be squeaky bum time. April is really difficult. Crystal Palace obviously just got relegated from WSL. So they might well be fighting for promotion. And the team that they might be fighting promotion against, Birmingham, is the penultimate game. So April is going to be a really, really, and they're both away. It will be a really tough month for Ipswich. Southampton, I think that will be, one that they'll be looking to win. Hopefully in that position, they might well be around the same area, Southampton and Ipswich, come that time in the season. So it might be one that they can look to win. Sunderland at home, obviously they might not have anything to play for. I think they're a pretty stable WSL2 team now, so they might just be mid-table dead rubber. So might Ipswich at that point, but if they're not, then it is one that they could potentially go and get some points from to help them out, whichever way they're fighting. So I think April's tough. I think Crystal Palace and Birmingham will be really difficult, but I think Southampton and Sunderland are two potential games where they could really go for it and just think, we've done brilliant all season. Let's give it our all these last few games, and see where they end up. But I do think that Palace and Birmingham will be both up there in terms of going for WSL football next season. So yeah, it's a tough end, but I'm sure I'm hoping that Ipswich will be in a position where they just don't need to do anything, or they're fighting for promotion themselves. And the last 4 games are either to get the points we need to go up, or just, we've solidified ourselves as a WSL2 team. We've done a really good job, and not the fighting relegation and seeing if they can survive on the final day of the season, because that won't be fun for anyone.
No, it won't. Obviously, we had unbelievable scenes last season, the final game, which we sort of knew already we were promoted. Yeah. But yeah, we just never know. We just don't know. It's the first time that Joe Sheehan, as a manager, these players have played in the second tier of women's football. It's going to be a history-making season, and we'll find out. But yeah, as well, Tom, I was just quickly looking as you were chatting. A lot of the teams do play at their men's ground. So there's, I think Birmingham play at St Andrews a lot. At Bristol City, they play at Ashton Gate. As you mentioned, Charlton play at the Valley. Crystal Palace don't play at Selhurst Park, but I think they do have some games there. But they play at, I think, Sutton United's ground. So not a bad little ground. Durham play at Maiden Castle, which is just a complex, like a university sort of complex. Newcastle play at Gateshead International Stadium, which we played, if I'm rightly so. I think we played when we played Newcastle in the FA Cup. I think that's the same ground. And that was a really good setup there. Really enjoyed that. I think that is the home of the rugby team as well, I think.
If that's the one with the track around the outside, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe they're not. Maybe it isn't. I think it could be wrong. But anyway, they play there, so it could be that. Nottingham Forest, I think, do play at the City Ground. I don't know if they play there all the time. I'm just quickly seeing sort of the setup. Portsmouth obviously play at Haverton Waterlooville, which is a nice little setup. We've been there a few times. Sheffield United, Bramall Lane, Southampton, St Mary's, and Sunderland play at, not unfortunately St Light, but I think they obviously have a few games there, and you never know. They may, I think, once again, if it fits right, potentially. But that would be a great experience, won't it, Tom? For the players to sort of play at these sort of grounds.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the past, obviously, Portman Road, they've had a couple of games at. They've played at MK Dons, Stadium MK, away, Plymouth's ground, home park. They've played a couple of games at as well. But otherwise, they haven't really played at, these proper grounds. They're all proper grounds, but these, big stadiums and proper facilities. Hence why there have been just so many cancellations and postponements, for the team in the past. But this season it will be great for them to play there and in front of big crowds as well. I know that even like Newcastle, Sunderland last season, that got some like 33,000 fans or something like that into St James Park to watch that one. So it'll be big crowds as well watching them. I'm sure Ipswich will have a few games at Portman Road as well this season, as Colchester, and Colchester itself holds quite a few, 10,000. So it'll be a new experience for some of the players, certainly playing in front of that many people and playing in all these fantastic stadiums with fantastic facilities and proper, changing rooms and it'll be great for them. And just hope that the occasions don't get too much for them. I'm sure it won't. They're all professionals. So, it's a season that I think everyone is looking forward to, and the fans get to go to these grounds as well and support the team from there rather than from a steps like they did for some of the teams. Still look back at what was it, Barnet, London Bees, as dreadful facilities there. So. It's good for them to be able to get to these proper stadiums and watch their team play in 30, 40,000 seaters.
Definitely, yeah. Barnet's main ground is great, but they were playing,
where they were meant to actually be playing that day is
that
fantastic. But I think the pitch was frozen, and they had to play on a pitch after some 10-year-olds had just been playing on it in train on a 5-a-side pitch nearby, and it just was not good at all.
Yeah, that's once again, that's what proves with women's football. It's still a lot of work needs to be done with, a third tier team in women's football that shouldn't be waiting for another team to finish on a pitch. So I don't think this will happen this season in WSL 2. I think that won't happen. We have to wait for, as you say, an under 10s team to finish, and then they can come on. But yeah, some good times ahead. Looking forward to it. Obviously, me and Tom will try our best to cover as many games as we can. But any other business, Tom, as we wrap up latest Track the Girls Talk podcast? Hope everyone's enjoyed. We've had a lot to discuss. We'll probably next time we record, we'll be ahead of the season, or if there's new signings and other bits and bobs. Obviously, the team are now back in pre-season, have pre-season games to play. Yeah, any other business, Tom?
No, I don't think so. Just Ipswich do kick off their pre-season on Sunday against Wolves. At the Martello ground. I think tickets should be released in due course, hopefully for that, because it is this week. So, if you want a little fix of women's football and Ipswich Town Women, then that is on Sunday. So, go down and support the girls at the Martello ground. But otherwise, no, I think that's everything from me.
Top man. Unfortunately, I won't be there because I'll be in France for the men's game, but we'll try our best to cover it as best as we can. But stay with us for this season. The Track the Girls Talk podcast will be here. We're hoping to get some guests on throughout the season as well. And as I said, it would be great to get some fans on as well to share their thoughts and looking ahead to the season. We may do what we'll do, Tom, we could do a predictions sort of preview podcast. That'll be the next podcast we'll bring you, looking at, sort of predicting the season, top goal scorer, just what you're used to for a pre-boot pod. We'll bring you that very shortly. But thanks for listening, and we'll be back for another Track the Girls Talk podcast very soon. Bye-bye for now.